Before you start to create your site in Dreamweaver, what you want to do is you want to plan it out and design it based on the plan that you have in place. What do I mean by plan? Well, basically, what's the goal of your website? Maybe it's to tell others about Eco-Style Studio in this case, what they stand for, what they do, maybe show off some of their fashions. Or it could be to buy something or to inform in any way. But the important thing is to know your goal. And from there, you're able to create the content for your website. Again, overview, about section, some men's and women's fashion in this case, and of course, contact information. So there's the content. But what is the user trying to do? We can't just give them all this information just on one page necessarily. We want to know what they're trying to do. And first off, can they even find your site in the first place? If they enter your company name in a search engine, is your site going to come up? Is it even on a web server to begin with? So we need to make sure our site is available and viewable. Once they're at our site, is the website easy to use? Is the navigation intuitive? Is all the content grouped together logically? And does it deliver the information expected? So if they click on the About section, are they going to find out about the company or something else? Again, straightforward things that you just need to keep in mind because you'd be surprised at how many people don't do this. All right, but from that information, I'm able to develop a sitemap, which is in essence taking all my content and grouping it into logical order. So in this case, a home page that might have an overview about the company. It might link to an external site, say follow the company on Twitter or something. There could be an about page, maybe a portfolio/fashion page that shows lots of images of the men's and women's fashions, and then a contact page as well. So there's our sitemap, but let's drill down a little closer. And we can see we want to take a close look at the navigation. This is very important. We want to make sure it's easy to learn. We don't want the user to work really hard to figure out how your site is put together and how to navigate it. So make sure it's easy to learn, it's prominent. Make sure you clearly differentiate hyperlinks and buttons from the actual textual content so they know what's a button, what's a hyperlink, what isn't. And then also, when they click on that item, how many clicks is it going to take to get to really what they want? And this is all about minimal clicks to get to their destination. All right, so that's the navigation. But if we also take a look at design considerations, we want to keep these design principles in mind as well. Is the hierarchy of information perfectly clear, or are all the images on the page fighting with each other, for instance? Is the text legible and the font consistent? And this is across the website. We don't want it to be a mishmash of different fonts and different text sizes, different things like that. Another thing, we want to make sure our copy is at a reasonable length. So, in general, people probably spend about 25 to 35 seconds on a web page, and we want to make sure they can read that information within that amount of time. And then also, we want to keep critical information above the fold. So this is the information they can see before they have to scroll. If they have to scroll for it, it's below the fold. And obviously, we don't want them to have to scroll for the navigation or anything like that. Again, let's not have the user work. So we take all that information and we create a sketch based on that information. Just a rough outline of maybe where the navigation will live and certain other elements. And as you can see, that's what's going on here, but what about the size of this document? For instance, if you were to design this in Photoshop next, what would the size of this design look like? Well, it would be about 600 pixels high, and what you're doing here is you're taking a 1024 by 768 pixel monitor resolution, which is a standard monitor resolution, and then you're subtracting the browser Chrome, which is all the buttons and scroll bars, from that amount, and what you end up with is 600 pixels high and 1,000 pixels wide. So that will give you your blank document to start designing. So we're going to keep in mind all of our design principles and start to get to work in a program like Photoshop. And what you end up with is something kind of like this. So here, as you can see, I clearly know where I am. I know the navigation is right there in the center, easy to get to the various sections. The hierarchy of information is really appropriate. I can see there's a headline there, maybe a subline underneath that. I can easily see that there are links within the body copy, clearly differentiated with a different color and an underline. and then the body copy isn't that long either. So I'm keeping in mind design principles, what the user is trying to do, as well as my objective for my site, and the outcome is a really nicely designed site that's going to be easy for the user to use.